some sexual metaphor. I can give you some sexual languaging. I will in a minute. That'll be my next module. But so this is one of my metaphors, a dog fight. Have you guys seen this show, Dog Fights? Do you get it here in Britain? Do you get it? It's on the, what channel is it on? The History Channel? You're American, right? You don't get it here in Britain? Oh, fuck, it's fantastic. It's my favorite show. They have dog fights from different eras, like World War I. They recreate it with computer animation that's so realistic, it's fantastic. I love that show. So, but it's an interesting metaphor because you have to know the range of your weapon. You have to have the ability to detect the other guy. You have to be able to predict, based on what you know they can do, where they're going to make their turn so you can lead it and be there ahead of them. It's one of my metaphors, is dog. But the other one is sparring, but not really hurting the other person. Anyone willing to be on camera for a minute? Somebody? Yeah, come here a minute. I often will do this with women as a game. I will do this with women. It's really cool. Stand over here. Come here. Put your forearm out like this. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Put your hand. Open your hand. Face it that way. Okay. Here's the name of the game. The name of the game is don't resist. Don't ever push against me. Don't push against me, but don't lose contact either. Okay? Don't push against me. Oh, you're resisting. No pushing against me and no losing contact. Get it? So I'll play this game with women. I'll say, hey, you want to see something really cool? It'll be like within 5 minutes of talking to them. Let me show you. Put your arm out like this. Okay? Now, if you imagine putting your mind in your belly, you'll be able to do this a lot better. And by the way, I don't necessarily have to lead. You can be the one in the lead. I'll follow you without resisting, without letting go in any way. By the way, if you find you loosen your wrist, it makes it easier. And when you start doing this with someone, you begin to develop a rhythm with them, right? Because there's no resistance. I'm not pushing against them, but I'm not resisting either. Are you feeling any resistance from me when you push? You can do the leading. Push.
I let for some moments. Worked.
And you also get an idea of where the person's on balance and off balance. See? You get an idea of where, if you wanted to push, you can push them off. What?
If no one's resisting or no one's leading, how can someone lead if no one's resisting?
Come here. Sit down. Come here. No, but no. No, but this is my metaphor. Metaphorically, when I meet a woman, even though I'm not really doing that, metaphorically, even though I'm not really doing this, in my mind I'm doing it. I'm getting a sense of where she resists and where she's open, right? Put your forearm out like this. Relax your wrist. Okay, face your hand towards your face. Okay, so don't let go. Take your hand out of your pocket. Don't let go, but don't push against me either, okay? If you let go, you lose. If you lose contact, then the game is over. See? And by the way, you can lead too. I'll follow you. I don't have to be the one to set all the movement. See, it gets to the point where you can't really tell who's leading and who's following, right? And you also see where the person is a little off balance. Right?
Yeah.
It's just an adaptation of it. It's a really bizarre, bad adaptation of push hands.
I see what you mean.
See? Go have a seat. But you can actually play this game with women too, because it puts you in it's like a physical metaphor for rapport. But in my mind, this is what I'm doing. I'm sort of like getting a feel, okay, where do they take the lead? Where, if I come here, will they resist and push against me? Or will they flow with it? If they flow with it, then I'll go there and then I'll move them there. So that's one of my metaphors too, sort of like push hands. It's like a Tai Chi game where I'm sparring with them a little bit. Another metaphor of mine is, you ever watch two really good fighters, two really good boxers who deeply respect each other? The first couple of rounds, they're not going to come out with everything they got. They're going to like test the other guy, see what their rhythm is, right? And they're trying to loosen the other guy up to see, okay, let me get him a little loose here, see where he's got an opening. Let me test. And also when I'm teaching, the first hour when I'm teaching, I'm shaking people. What I'm really doing that first hour, Friday night, is I was shaking everybody. In my mind, I'm shaking everyone. I'm shaking you with laughter. I'm shaking you with dropping little tidbits about what you're going to learn. I'm shaking you by hitting you over your head with a huge concept. I'm shaking you because I want to loosen you up. I want to take the grip of your habitual way of thinking and loosen it, and loosen it, and loosen it, and then back off. And then I come and I shake you again, so you're a little looser, and then I back off. And then I shake you again, and, you know, and then, boom. Once I've got you really shook, where it's at a critical mass, I'll hit you really hard, and everything that got in the way will drop. Another metaphor I had, you've heard me say it 3 or 4 times this weekend. What have I talked about? It has to do with mountains and snowballs. What have I talked about?
Oh, yeah.
Avalanche. One of my metaphors is an avalanche. What have I said to you about avalanches?
You think that's a key point?
That's right. You don't, and what else did I say in the magic seminar? I said knowing where to tap. That's one of my metaphors too, is that you've got all this plumbing and you've got to fix it, and you've got a little hammer. If you know where to tap, you don't have to worry about having a huge hammer or hitting it over or over. You just know where to tap. So part of my metaphor of dealing with women is knowing where to tap. Look, I'm looking for where's the tapping point. The metaphor I gave you about avalanches, I said to create an avalanche, you don't have to shake the whole mountain, do you? Now, am I really talking about avalanches and mountains? What am I talking about? And instinctively, you know, when I say, in order to create an avalanche, you don't have to shake the whole mountain. Am I talking about, what am I talking about?
It's the right part of a woman's mind.
I'm talking about having a huge impact with women, aren't I? You don't need to shake the whole mountain. You just have to know where to start that snowball rolling. Because then, through its own momentum and natural law, through its own mass, through its own initial mass and the right direction, and through vibration and gravity and natural law, it will shake the mountain on its own, won't it? This is my metaphor for speed seduction. Mystery Method wants you to build a fucking snowman from the bottom up and roll it to the top of the hill. That and dating. That's dating and Mystery Method. All they want you to fucking build that fucking snowman and push it and push it and push it by demonstrating your value till you get to the top of the hill, and then you get to make an ice cream cone and lick it. I'm going, no, no. No, no. You help them form that initial snowball and give a little push, and as it goes down the hill in the right way, it will create the avalanche from its own mass. So in effect, women's own responses are the snowball. Your initial little bit of sarging is like that little and then it rolls down through her levels of the mind and creates the avalanche for you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But that's another example of a metaphor. I'm not really talking about avalanches. So dogfighting is a metaphor I use. This little Tai Chi game, sparring, avalanches. They're all metaphors I'm presenting to you so you get it before you get it. Yes?
So how can we find our own metaphors like you found?
Look at your dreams. Look at your dreams. Write your dreams out, and over time you will see common themes. One of the common themes in my dreams is my car. I'll dream that I can't find my car, that I've lost it. Where's my car? Where's my car? And now that I have OnStar, it's no like OnStar is going to stop working in January, but you can call OnStar and say, you know, they'll locate your car for you. But for me, that's a metaphor. What is a car? Well, a car is my drive, right? So when I lose my car, it means I've temporarily lost my enthusiasm or my motivation. I have to fight it. For me, it represents my drive. So watch your dreams, but there's some really good books you can get. I recommend a book called Phoenix, The Therapeutic Patterns of Milton Erickson. Phoenix, The Therapeutic Patterns of Milton Erickson by David Gordon. It's not about metaphor per se, but you can see Erickson's metaphors at work. Phoenix, The Therapeutic Patterns of Milton Erickson. It's by David Gordon. And David Gordon also has a book called Therapeutic Metaphors. So I recommend that book. I also recommend a book, because it does deal with metaphors. There's a book called Hypnosis and the Treatment of Depression by Michael Yapko. He would be appalled to hear me mention his name at one of my seminars, but Y-A-P-K-O. So the first book is Phoenix, The Therapeutic Patterns of Milton Erickson by David Gordon. The second book is called Therapeutic Metaphors by David Gordon. Oh, here's a really good one. What am I thinking? The king of metaphor of all time, Carl Jung. Get any book by Carl Jung, but I recommend Man and His Symbols by Carl Jung. J-U-N-G. Carl Jung. You ought to know, he was fucking Austrian. Swiss, was he? Carl Jung. Hold on, slow down. Man and His Symbols by Carl Jung. But Carl Jung had plenty of books on symbology, and his whole thing was about what did he call it? The collective unconscious. Any book on mythology. Get any book you want on mythology. Get Joseph Campbell's books on myth and mythology. Anything by anything by Joseph Campbell, his books on myth, Man and His Myth, any books by Joseph Campbell, because when you look at myth, those are essentially metaphors. They come from the deep unconscious. Yes?
Is there anything you can recommend if you can't remember your dreams? Or if you...
Hold on, wait. Let me stay on this. So the books are...
Which one was Yapko?
Yapko is Hypnosis and the Treatment of Depression. I only say that because a lot of his trance inductions contain metaphors for healing, and he talks about those metaphors.
And more entry model for Jung is the direct one, Memories, Dreams and Reflections.
Say again?
Memories, Dreams and Reflections by Carl Jung.
He says Jung wrote a book called Memories.
Dreams and Reflections.
Memories or metaphors?
Memories.
Memories, Dreams, and Reflections by Carl Jung.
It's an easier entry model before you hit Man and the Symbols.
Who would ever thought that you would teach guys about Jung and mythology and the collective unconscious to get laid? But it's quite powerful. You see how they'll go anywhere I take them because they see the connection. Do you not? Now, I'm quite happy with this because this is the perfect thing to show you this morning as an example of real powerful patterning that doesn't quite exactly fit the model I presented to you and that required no effort. It just rolled out of my head. Now, some of you, did you get all those titles?
The last one, can you repeat it, please? With Carl Jung.
Carl Jung?
Memories, Dreams and Reflections.
I know some of you are still a little bit confused because I was talking about dissociation. What did I mean by that? Anyone have something you need cleared up around this topic of dissociation? It's not something I plan to discuss, and you don't need to know it, but did you not get that?
The way that I understand it, to try and simplify it, is that any experiences that we have, we often recall and remember from our own line of sight, like we're within our own body. So dissociation is simply trying to remember that experience, but stepping outside of our body and watching ourselves.
Yes, that's one definition of dissociation. One definition of dissociation is how you view imagery in your mind. You can view imagery from actually like you're looking out through your own eyes so you don't see your body. That's associated. Dissociated imagery is imagery where you see yourself. You actually see a picture of yourself watching the experience. That's one aspect. In the way in which I was referring to it, you're actually taking on another person's perspective. So in the dream, for example, when I tell her that I'm having the dream from the perspective of the woman, she now has to imagine that she's a woman in the dream having the dream. So it's like a triple dissociation. When people are dissociated, it creates a profound hypnotic effect, and anything you say tends to slide in. Now notice, it was not my intent in doing this. It just naturally rolled out of how I know how to do things. Yeah? Now, I should also say something else. I opened up this seminar by telling a story about a bear. Remember the two granola-loving guys in the woods and the bear? And I said, you don't need to outrun the bear. That this is an extreme example of patterning. Very extreme. I tend to learn at the extremes, and I tend to explore at the extremes. I want to push the envelope. One of my favorite movies, here's another way you can find out people's metaphors. Say, well, give me 3 of your favorite movies. What were 3 of your favorite movies? And invariably, they're not just favorite movies because they like the action. Whether they know it or not, those movies have metaphors that deeply touch them. Star Wars is loaded with mythology and metaphor. But one of my favorite movies is The Right Stuff. Did anybody see The Right Stuff? It was a movie about test pilots. And one of the things they talked about constantly in that movie is push the envelope. Push the envelope. The envelope is the flight performance. It describes what the aircraft can do. They're always pushing the envelope. Now, this is an example of pushing the envelope to the extreme. It's taking that aircraft to the bare limits right before its wings will tear off. You don't need to do this. Like I said, all you have to do is just be a little bit more, all you have to do is know how to fractionate among the vibes. We're going to get into some vibes and patterns this afternoon. All you have to do is know how to control your energy and know a little bit more than the average guy, and you'll do really well. You don't need to clonk them over the head with my quadruple dissociative dream pattern.
Just, I was reading recently when you say my tempo is up at 11, that's now, I'm starting to think why you can put me in a nightclub and on comes the song, and as soon as the beat comes then, I go into jelly body and I can't pronounce or remember one word, and you can give me that song 100 times and I still don't know the words because the whole beat thing takes over. And I'm thinking now that the beat thing pushes me energy up to 11 where it's sort of now addicted and set, and now I'm pushing it back down so I can process this knowledge.
That was the cocaine guy.
You want to see me fuck with this guy a little bit?
Yes.
Come here. Stand right over there. Stand right over there. Count 2 squares down. Stand. No. Move that right. Move your foot over. Stand right there. Now, this guy's an open book because he's doing this, right? Notice his gestures. Tell me again about being in the club. The way. Yeah. Go ahead.
If I go into a nightclub and something like Club Tropicana from George Michael comes on. Yeah. I have a friend with me.
Now watch this. Stop. I want you to imagine telling this story, but don't let any sound come out of your mouth. So here's what I mean, like this. Look here. It would be like, do all your gestures and talk, but don't let any sound actually come out. Move your mouth and everything, but don't. Yeah, just do it. That's why. Keep going. Keep going. Now, you know where he'd have a great job? As an interpreter for the deaf. Because he's so fucking expressive. But you notice what he does with his gestures. What is he doing here? He's taking his images and he's pushing them all around. He's taking his visual imagery. Look, here's what you do. You're going. You got all these images and you're pushing them all fucking over the place. And it's confusing other people because unconsciously they're in rapport with you and they're trying to follow all your pictures going. And pretty soon they're, oh, I feel nauseous, blah. So watch. I'm not making fun of you. I'm trying to help you.
No, I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, I know. See, he likes the attention. So what I would like you to do is practice telling the same story, but keep your gestures all right here. So you can talk out loud now, but keep your gestures right here. Right? Tell the story.
So if I go into a nightclub, it doesn't matter where the nightclub is. When it comes to spelling and reading, I'm not very good. So when music comes on that I like, I can never ring up the radio station and tell the DJ to replay the song because I don't really know the words in the song because the energy and the beat takes over and it hits me heart and my feelings and my emotions and I switch into autopilot mode. And the actual words go straight over my head.
Now, was it easier to comprehend what he said when he... Because people want to understand you, but you're like... You're taking all their imagery. I'll give you a hint about people. People don't just have their images in their head. People subjectively, whether they're aware of it or not, project their imagery out here. So when they're trying to follow you, you're inadvertently grabbing their images and scrambling their ability to follow you. So you're scrambling them by how fast you're going, the level of intensity you're putting in, and by taking their images and moving them around when they're trying to understand you. So not only do you need to fractionate with the level of intensity, but keep your gestures here. Because when you're all around up here, you can keep them here or here. But when you start anything, let me give you a clue. Any gesture above your shoulder, put your arm out like this. You sweat a lot, man. Any gesture above your shoulder is going to confuse people.
Right.
Right? So tell the story again as much as you like, but keep your gestures no higher than your shoulders. Tell it again.
Like I say, the story is basic. Even from school as a little boy, the teacher can talk, but there's other stuff going on in my head. It might be music, it might be a movie. And again, if I'm at home listening to the radio and a good tune comes on and I like it and I would love to hear that song again because it really gets me going, but the actual words in the song and the name of it are gone over my head. It's even...
Easy to understand him, right? Now, put your arms... I want to make a distinction. I'm not teaching him alpha male body language. This is not real shitty dunderheads, right? Or misery method. I'm not teaching you body language. I'm teaching you about what your gestures do for you energetically. Now, you notice how it's easier for you to stay calm when you keep your arms no higher than shoulder, right? Isn't it? Because the minute you raise them up here, it actually takes your energy out from the rest of your body and puts it up into your head. Watch. Start to tell a story from up here. Start telling stories from up here the way you used to. Go. Tell a story about something really exciting the way you used to. Tell a story about anything. Okay, you're in the club and the music's moving you.
Yeah, it's difficult though, because I prefer them more persuasive and communicative like this.
Ah. See, now we see rapid personal change, Mr. Skeptical Reporter, who thinks I'm a scumbag. See? That's pretty amazing. He didn't have to sit in therapy for 15 years and cry about his mommy. Well, I'm this way because I witnessed a sexual act between me father and a goat. And you see, and it charged my body with all this manic energy, and now I'm... It wasn't a goat, it was a sheep. Get it right. But see, now I want you, here's the thing. He'd make a, do you have nephews or nieces?
Yeah.
I bet you're the favorite uncle. Is that true?
Well, I like playing on the trampoline with them.
Yeah, of course. Are you the favorite uncle?
Perhaps.
Yeah. He'd make a fucking fun, nutty uncle, wouldn't he? He'd be the ultimate. I want you to have the ability to turn this on when it's appropriate. I don't want you to... See, the name of the game is not about being calm or manic. The name of the game is choice and freedom. So I want you, truly, seriously, I'm not kidding, on my word as a teacher, I want you to have the choice to be up in here and crazy. When you're dancing, I don't want you to be here. I want you to be crazy and a spastic. You know, that's why we love you, you know, our little Irish spaz. So seriously, I want you to be able to show us how you, if it was appropriate and you want to make the choice, how would you go back to being all nuts? Show me. I'm not being facetious. Go ahead. I want you to turn it back on.
If before I identified this stuff, I'd go out and I'd be just talking with my hands, I'd be kind of like Tony Montana and Scarface. I'd be just like, if she says to me, she says, you know, we can be friends. I'm just like, this is my hand. No fucking way. No fucking way. I want more. Stuff like that. And I'm talking really fast, but I can feel like the killer bees in the television.
There he goes. He's starting to speed up. See? 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 Now, I don't want to take his choice away because his energy is delightful. You're the kind of person who could walk into a crowded room and light up the party. Why in the world would I want to take that away? It would be like defacing a Da Vinci. I don't want to do that. But I want to give you the choice when you want to persuade people and make a connection to be here. Do you understand? So show me how you talk from here.
Yeah, so like I say, when some girl says to me, she says, we be friends, or something like that, I'll just say, no, I want more. Because friendship has no real meaning. 4 or 5 years down the line, where is she? But yet, the night that you're going to have her and her friend and had a threesome is gone.
Now, that's perfectly Now, he just went from being utterly incomprehensible and completely a whirlwind of confusion generation to being perfectly persuasive. Did you get what he said? He's actually charming and witty and utterly persuasive when he controls it. Now, that's fractionation for you. The ability to fractionate your speed and your intensity so you can speed it up when you want to and slow down when you want to. That alone, see, I know as a teacher that oftentimes what people come in and ask for is not what they really need. Because what they're asking for is being conditioned by the stuck way they're seeing the problem in the first place. They want to keep the blinders on. They just want to be able to look over here instead of over here. And my job as a teacher is to go, no, that's not where you really need to change. You need to change here. That's why I get paid the big bucks. See? Does that make sense?
Yes.
That's a profound change for him. Now, a good drill for you is to practice slowing down and speeding up and where you put your gestures. And also, energetically, he's much more grounded here, isn't he? He presents himself as grounded, hard to push over mentally or physically, and someone who's really solid and steady. A woman could walk with him hanging on his arm and feel totally safe walking down the street, knowing that they're not going to get pushed over by anything that happens. You present here as being very solid, very grounded. That's almost a little mean. So put a smile on your face. See? Now that's solid, grounded, friendly, open. That's got all the vibes mixed together. He's listening so he can receive. He can be vulnerable. He can be strong. And he can be playful. He's got it all right there. And when he wants to turn it up and be playful, he just moves his arms up like that and speeds it up a little bit, and he's there. Now, here's the really cool thing, that this isn't just going to have profound impact with his sarging, with his getting women, because it will, but this will improve his ability to communicate with every human being in every situation, because it's what he really needed. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Does it make sense to you?
Yes.
Does it? I know, here's what he's going to write. He's going to write, Jeffries was sucking on seed and using foul language the entire time. And his No, he'll be fair to me. You'll kill him if he doesn't, right? Who's your buddy?
RJ.
That's right. Let's have a hand. Let's have a hand for our favorite Irish spaz. Hold on. See, this to me is the biggest reward of teaching. Is to go, oh, I know where to look. Now, you know what else also made this possible? Is I got his personal metaphor. My ability to get his personal metaphor told me it was about the physicality of the whole thing. Slipping, almost getting it, things slipping through his fingers, being right out of his grasp. It told me that the intervention I needed to make had to do with his movement and his energy, not something else. So all these skills kind of lock in and play together. Now some of you are thinking, well, how can I have that level of awareness? How can I do that? Well, pay me lots of money and study with me and I'll show you. Yes, you had a question?
Yes, what about most of us who are like kind of shy and who don't feel effective, you know, contrary to him, or like you're talking to a girl or anybody like you said with him.
I don't, well, okay.
We feel shy and we feel they're losing attention.
First, hold right there,
Okay.
because I've got loops open. So let me close some loops. Are we done with the dream?
Yes.
Are we all satisfied that we've analyzed that dream and we understand? And then I got onto metaphor and I gave you some resources you can use to learn more about metaphor. I talked to you about my personal metaphor. You want to take a 5-minute pee break? Yes. Take a 5-minute pee break. And their whole motto is to serve is a great honor. So I believe that, to serve, to be in service to people with my talent, with my unique talent in a way that sets them free in a way that they could never find on their own. That's a great honor. So to serve is a great honor. And you notice the ring? Someone told me, you know where this comes from? Supposedly the story is when the English and French would have battles, the English would occasionally capture the French archers, and just to spread terror, they would cut off this finger. Huh? They would cut off these two? Okay, so this is actually a symbol like my fingers are still, you didn't get me. Fuck you. But this, I was told that this is a French thing. It comes from the French archer saying, see, I still have this finger. I think that's not true because the Germans have this expression, the Feig, right? Isn't this how you say fuck you in Germany? No? This is it in Israel. No, you know how you say fuck you in Israel? Trust me. That's for the Jew hater. The ADL told me to tell that joke. I've given money to the ADL. It's a bunch of bullshit that you've bought into, man. You've got to watch your ability. You've got to watch your propensity to believe in something because it's controversial, because it's a good way to fool and trick you. So anyway, right. You had asked a question about shyness. You said,
right.
what do you do for those of us who are shy? Now watch how language glues the problem back onto you. It is not that you are shy, but that through the way you process that, you're recreating it in every moment. Do you understand? So just through doing this drill, and we'll go back through it later in the day, because they're still hungry for language, and I'm going to give it to them, is through going back through that drill, you can learn to have equanimity and full, complete awareness of that experience, and it will cease to be anything that blocks you. So then it's simply a matter of going out and talking and having some idea of where to steer the conversation, and you're done.
Actually, usually it's I lose, what do you call it? Trust in myself being effective. I think people are going to...
Then you're focusing on the wrong thing.
Their minds are going to wander.
Stop. Stop. You're telling, listen to what he's doing. He's retelling the story of his limitation and therefore hammering it back in another level deep. Every time you tell me or someone else or yourself this story, you're reaffirming your belief in your limitation. Do you understand? Simply by how you language it and the fact that you're bearing testimony to your belief in your God of shyness. Let me give you a commandment. Thou shalt not worship at the altar of your limitations. Thou shalt not worship your mistakes. Thou shalt have no other God but me. No. It's sort of a form of internal idol worship, to worship at the altar of your mistakes and go, I am this, and give public testimony that, yes, I am shy, I can't do this, I get distracted. Instead, if you want to language it, you can say, up until now, it has been my experience that I.
Right.
Watch how you language it, because if you language it wrong, you just glue it back to yourself. And this kind of languaging goes on all the time when you talk to yourself about it. How many times have you had an internal, watch this, reporter, how many times have you had an internal conversation with yourself about these limitations you have with women?
All the time?
All the time. So would you say 5,000 times?
Maybe 500,000.
500,000 times. So 500,000 times you repeated the mantra, I am shy, I am shy, I am shy. And now do you wonder why you act shy and you feel shy? Well, fuck, you programmed it in, dumbass. But the fact of the matter is, this is how human consciousness works all the time. We're always chattering to ourselves. That beautiful woman, I guarantee you, she's having a conversation about something that's been going on for years.
Right.
So when you get quiet in your mind, or listen, the name of the game is not always being quiet in your mind. The name of the game is having the freedom, choice, and ability to go there when you want to. So if you have the choice and the ability to get quiet in your mind, when everyone else around you is noisy, who do you think will have the advantage in terms of picking up the right information?
You.
Speak it.
Me.
That's right. So this is why all of you, some of you have been complaining, I didn't come here for the meditation stuff. Well, learning to have the choice to get your mind quiet when you want to be enables you to see things that are invisible to other people because they're just too noisy to pay attention to them. 90% of what I'm doing is knowing where to pay attention and what to ignore. That's it. The language is impressive and the language is powerful. Don't get me wrong, I am not knocking language. Language is the naughty key to all that naughty sauce. It's great, but it's really only a 20%. If you imagine the world of speed seduction to be like a big globe, Antarctica would be the language patterns, or maybe South America and Antarctica. There's other bits, controlling your energy, knowing what to pay attention to, knowing how to be quiet in your mind, knowing what to ignore, knowing how to utilize what she says. Those are the bigger pieces. Well, thank you. One person wasn't raised by wolves. The staff at this hotel is so beautiful, all these lovely Polish ladies. And where are you from, dear? I know. I know. But I want you to tell everybody. She's not going to tell me, but her ears are turning bright red. Look. See the color changes? Look how red she turns. Look at her ears are turning bright red. You know what happens is when you blush, you feel the blood rushing through your body, and sometimes it rushes places where you don't really want to talk about. With me, I find that, that's the general overall thing. So my point for you is, watch how you've been telling yourself all these stories and buying into it. When you can create a place of quiet in your mind, you can watch the stories going by without buying into them. So it's not that you're even going to shut the stories down. You're going to find a way to look at them without buying into them and take all the emotional energy that's running them, clean it up, redirect it into a better way so there's no more emotional energy powering the stories and they go, uh-oh, we're out of gas. So you don't even have to try to turn them off or fight them. Trying to turn them off or fight them, there's too much momentum. If you've done 500,000 repetitions, that's a lot of momentum to try to push against. We don't want you to do that. There's a better way to handle it. Right, so let's get back to the saucy language. You like it?
Yeah.
Important items yet to cover. Who got laid last night? He did. You did. Who else? You did. Raise your hands. The little aces who got laid. You did. You did. You did. James, you're dressed nicely today. Your boobs look better. You can see this guy doesn't have a camera, so you can talk to him and give him another name and tell him your stories. Okay? What's that? They're not going to come back. They did their gig. Right. Someone told me he told someone the Paris Hilton joke, and she said, "Really? I didn't know that Paris Hilton was in a boat wreck." She didn't. Who is that? Who did that happen to? Well, that's called a dumbass chick. I had an experience where this is years ago. I was in the Coffee Bean and the Tea Leaf at Marina Del Rey, where I live in California. This woman walks in wearing purple shoes, purple pants, purple shirt, purple eyeliner, purple lipstick, purple gym bag. And I said to her, "Excuse me, but spirits are talking to me." Yes, thank you, Spirit. The spirits are giving me a message. They're telling me you like the color purple. And her response was, "You're good." And she meant it. She was some dumbass porn star. What was her name? Porn stars tend to move into the marina when they retire. She's a retired dumbass porn star. What was her name? Fantasia, I think she called herself. There's another one I met. You know her? There's an Asian porn star. Her real name is Nancy. She calls herself Kamisha. I see her around. And her biggest joke is, a few years back, she was in the Disney parade as Snow White. They didn't know her porn star history. Items yet to cover. Why Ross Jeffries is the world's best genius? How to get a 14-inch penis like you, Ross? Okay, examples of patterns. Blammo, blowjob, Discovery Channel, cube. You want some more pattern examples? Yes? Yes? That wasn't very enthusiastic.
Yes.
You don't care?
No. I mean, yes.
Yes.
Do the victims come back today?
Will I have victims back today? God. You know what I need to do is I left my phone in my room. At lunchtime, I'll call Lily and see if she's going to come in. She's really cute. Openers, yes. Yeah, we should do openers. SRT? Well, we'll see. Examples of how to use observations and intuitions, examples of accelerators, total film relationship, shock pattern, anchoring station, examples of patterns, blammo, blowjob, Discovery Channel. You guys want to hear the Discovery Channel pattern?
Yes.
No, that enthusiasm, so that's off. No, seriously, yes.
Yes.
The gay approach? Yeah, I'll show you the gay approach. Blammo, cube. Okay, let me address a few of these. So he's asking here about the cube. Well, the cube is an example, first of all, before we take notes, the cube is an example of a game, story, quiz, demo. It belongs to that miscellaneous category: joke, stories, poems, games. The point of the cube is, first of all, the cube, by nature of how you discuss it, we'll get into it in a minute, creates a trance. It's a series of visualizations where you get a woman to visualize. By the very act of visualizing, it's creating something of a trance. It also requires her participation, yes, and it's an incredible opportunity to introduce other themes, and to do embedded commands and suggestions. And one of the things about any of these tools, whether it's the Cube, whether it's the Discovery Channel is not a demo, but whether it's the Cube or a joke or a story or the Blammo pattern or handwriting analysis or anything like that that you're doing, the whole point is to start generating these states. If, for example, you're doing something like the Cube and you see she's starting to get really sexual and talk about sexual topics, don't go on to other things. Develop that response, see? Don't get stuck in the formalism. Don't get stuck in the formalism of the equation. If the safe is already swinging open, don't worry that by theory you need 10 if the theory says you need to have 10 different digits in that combination, but you see that the safe door is open after 2, fuck the theory. Look, always deal with what's right in front of you. And so with any of these things, don't feel that you ever have to complete any of these demonstrations. If you're doing the twin brothers scenario, which we did yesterday, and today what I need to do is put it in context and show you when to do twin brothers and what to follow it up with. So today, rather than doing too many more individual patterns, we'll do 1 or 2. I want to start putting things in a flow chart so you see where and when to do them and in what context. Would that be useful?
Yes.
That's exactly what I'm going to do. And I know that's what you're wanting. Had I done that Monday night, you wouldn't have seen the value. Listen to me. Shh. You Germans are constantly interrupting. Stop it. Cute. So my point is, when you're doing these things, like if you're doing the twin brothers, and she looks at you, she says, I want to kiss you. Don't continue with the twin brothers, right? Many of you in the beginning get so stuck in the formalism of the pattern that you're not paying attention to what's right in front of you. You know, they're all designed to do something. If they get the job done early, then chuck it. The Cube is an example of a kind of visualization game. Generally speaking, with these kind of things, when I do an opening, we'll get to openers just before lunch, and then for an hour after lunch, we'll focus on openers. And then from almost all of the remaining time, I'm going to give you some flow charts, where to start, where to go next, where to go that, what to do. We'll give you like 2 or 3 actual charted out flow charts so you can begin to have an actual pattern for training wheels that you can drive on. But what I want to say is something like the Cube. Typically, I will do the Cube on the second day. So let's say I meet someone, we have a nice conversation, blah, 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 and we arrange to meet a second time. Almost always, I will meet at a Starbucks first. We'll sit at the Starbucks for like an hour, and then we'll move to another location. I've been talking about changing locations when these other kids were, their testicles hadn't descended, so it's nothing new. And that's a classic technique. Guys who are naturals with women know that. Move a woman among different locations very quickly, and it gives her the sense that she spent much more time with you than she actually has. Creates comfort. But with something like the Cube, I will generally save it for like the second meeting, and I'll start out being funny and just asking some questions. Then we'll move into it. And with any of these things, like the Cube, that's a more formal sit-down kind of thing, you say, well, I've got this really cool visualization game. It's a real fun way to get to know people, and so if you're interested in learning about yourself, I'd like to play this with you. So I have that little qualifier. If you're interested in learning about yourself, she sort of has to, in a sense, not really, but metaphorically sort of raise her hand and go, yeah, I'm interested in learning about myself. And the Cube, rather than me go through it with any kind of detail, I want you to get the purpose of it. It's a really fun game. It's a fun little quiz that gets her to participate. It's a way to loosen her up, to learn about her, and it also requires that she visualize. And in the process of her visualizing, it will reveal, it's actually pretty accurate when you learn to do it, but it also enables you to introduce some interesting themes, you see, and to move in some interesting sexual directions. So basically the Cube works like this. First of all, there's a book you can get called Secrets of the Cube. You can get it, I think you can download it online illegally, which I don't recommend. Did you ever see that South Park episode about music piracy? This is Britney Spears. Because of online, she was hoping to have a $20 million mansion, but because of online downloaders, she had to settle for this $15 million mansion, and it doesn't have a helipad. I'm afraid this Christmas, no Santa by helicopter. No, we didn't understand. We didn't know. That's how evil always starts, son. People don't understand. So it starts out by saying, okay, imagine a desert. And you have her describe the desert. What color is the sand? What's the texture of the sand? So you have them measure a desert. You have them imagine a desert, a cube, a ladder, some flowers, a horse. You have them imagine a desert, a cube, a ladder, some flowers, a horse, and a storm. And then depending on how they describe it, you give them answers back. Rather than go into it here, it's much better covered in the actual book. I recommend that you get the book. But here's an example of how it works. I'll say, so imagine a desert. She'll say, well, my desert has pink and yellow sand. I'll say, is there water? Yes or no? Yeah, there's water. What's the shape of the desert? Oh, there's hills that roll like this. And I'll say, well, the desert represents your view of life. Now, water represents emotional support, and you've got some really good emotional support. You know what it's like to stop and feel deeply connected with someone and really feel that sense of being supported. So I use the cube as an opportunity to embed commands and suggestions. I'm not just going to give the interpretation straight out of the book. The book will give you interpretations which are all well and good, but I'm going to weave in all sorts of commands inside of there. You understand? Well, you know, when you become interested in what would it be like to feel excited about learning embedded commands, you might realize that that learning process is taking place. Do you understand? Don't you?
It's been vague. It's been vague. You're with her. You're all
Hands down.
Hands here.
Yeah.
Yes, James.
I've got two really good embedded commands that go quite well together. It's like
Boom them out.
when people picture their ideal lover, my face doesn't automatically spring to mind. And
Oh, that's good. When you look, when people picture your ideal lover, it doesn't automatically spring to mind.
my face doesn't automatically spring to mind.
Oh, that's good. When people picture your dream lover, my face doesn't automatically spring to mind.
When I used that, it was on this girl she was a complete lesbian, and she was actually.
Oh. You need to speak up. Can you hear him in the back? James, yell. I give you permission to yell like you're at a soccer match.
First time I used, I came up with this on the fly, and it was a girl who was absolutely devout lesbian, and she sat there, and I literally saw her in her mind, I could see her going into trance, picturing her ideal lover, because she was talking about a girlfriend at the time, and then putting my face right there, and her exact response was, I don't know, and she was literally picturing my face, and you can do it with all sorts of things like arousal.
So when people picture your ideal lover, my face doesn't automatically spring to mind. And then you know what you do? Here's what I would do. I would say when people picture your ideal lover, my face doesn't automatically spring to mind. But bring them together. You got that immediately. Bring them together. You know, when you picture the wildest night of sex, clearly I don't spring to mind. But sometimes people just think things differently, you know? Did you wind up banging her?
No, I didn't. That one, I didn't have like the confidence.
But you have banged lesbians.
Well, I mean, one of them, the one I did was just absolutely wrong because she wanted me to tie her to the bed. And I mean, seriously, I couldn't say it because.
Are you getting this, reporter? He banged a lesbian. She wanted you to tie her to the bed, and
Well,
did she give you the ropes?
well, no, it was duct tape.
Duct tape.
It was like this little.
Excuse me a minute. Yes, you too can be a lesbian banger and have her demand that you duct tape her to the bed when you go to www.speedseduction.biz. Can you say it with me? www.speedseduction.biz. That's right. And I want to tell you about my 100% absolute satisfaction money-back guarantee. If I'm not 100% absolutely satisfied with your money, I'll send it back, guaranteed. And now we're back to our program. That's good. So we were at the point where she's bookie butt naked and wanting to be duct taped to the bed.
What happened was I was in a bar playing around with this.
Speak up.
I was in the bar playing around with her, and I was using sort of connection patterns and then lust patterns. And this was on New Year's Eve, and she said, "Can I show you something?" And I go, "Yeah, sure." She had a skirt on. She lifted the skirt, and she had these black knickers on. She said, "See that tattoo there?" And it was like a little tiger, and I said, "Yeah, that's pussy eating pussy." And I'm like, "Right." And then I swear to God, she pulled back her knickers, and it was dripping. I was like, I was gone. I was like, what the fuck? But there was things she wanted.
Are we getting his voice on tape? If not his, can you hear his voice? Yeah. So even though we're not seeing his face,
Then
we
I
can.
was tracing what it feels like. I think it was before that. I traced what it feels like. You know, when she's having an orgasm and stuff like that.
Before that.
Yeah, just before she was doing stuff like that, and then she started.
You know what we need to do? We need to do an interview with him from the back of his head, just for the testimonial. Would you be willing to do this from the back of your head?
Yeah, okay, if you want to.
Yeah, okay. All right. So she's dripping wet. She shows you she's dripping wet.
Yeah, she was dripping wet, and then she started saying because I was acting like a best friend, you know, and I was talking like, it was just like two girls talking about different sexual fantasies.
Two girls talking, yeah, right. Except one of them has a Woody that could like wreck a building.
And she said, well, we started talking about sexual fantasies and stuff, and I was used to.
Hold on a minute. Eric,
Yes?
do you think you're as good looking as he is?
Not quite.
Not quite? Are you serious?
I don't know.
I mean, do you think he's got a better body than you?
The jeans I was wearing were £3 pair of Asda jeans.
I don't want to see, but I'll tell you what. Lift your shirt and show him. I'm serious.
No, I won't lift my shirt again.
Just lift your shirt and show him. Show him. No, no. Show him. I'm turning to stone. No, show him. Show him. No, no. No, not me. I've turned to stone. He's the Gorgon Medusa. Right. You're better looking than him. So let's see. So her panties are dripping.
She pulled them back and she said, look, what do you think of that? And I'm like, I'm sitting there and I was like, what the fuck do I do now? We started kissing and getting off and stuff.
Right.
Basically, I ended up taking her home and stuff. And
You took her home. What's
yeah.
the stuff part in the end stuff?
Well, basically, I stayed there because it would have been too expensive to get a taxi, blah, blah.
Right,
She
and?
stayed in the same bed and she started telling me all the fantasies and stuff.
Right.
And that was sick, what she wanted to do. And it was like, R.A.P. She wanted.
Not R-A-P, it's R-A-P-E.
Yeah.
R-A-P is what you doing, bakaka doing. Well, dude, it's not R-A-P-E if she's saying, please do it.
Yeah,
Do you understand? It's a fantasy. So what did you
I know,
do?
but the thing is, she said no stopping, duct tape over the mouth. Even if she was trying to stop me, just slap her over the face and make sure that there was absolutely no stopping. And it basically was just to use and violate it. That was, and that was literally what it was. But
What did you do? Did you just lay there?
no, I didn't lay there. Fuck did I?
What did you do?
I just basically I kneeled on top of her, pushed her down, but duct tape around the hands, duct tape the legs and everything, and well, you know, had fun.
And were you thinking, thank you, Ross Jeffrey?
Yes, actually.
Were you really
I was thinking, fuck, you know, because my life, like 18 months previously,
If anyone had told you you'd be pulling a beautiful lesbian from a bar, duct taping her to the bed and busting her brains out, how much money did you spend on her?
fuck, nothing. I mean, I think I might have nicely bought her a drink maybe once.
Hold out your hand. That way. No spending money.
I know. $1.50, sorry.
Now, there's no excuse for any of you,
I know,
is
but-
there?
I know, but the thing is, if guys find out you're doing stuff like that, I mean, one guy, he's a really supermodel. He does modelling and stuff like that. He turned up on the doorstep one day saying, you better stop hanging around with such and such a girl. And I'm like, my mum and dad answered the door, and because he was that pissed off I was getting results like this.
Fuck him. Fuck him. Fuck him. Does that lesbian live here still? Can you
Well,
call her?
no, she lives in. That was the thing.
Where does she
She
live?
said she gave me a phone number and I said she
all
said
call
call
her.
me. No, and I didn't call her back. The next week I got the most foul look off her in the club. I was like, I should have probably called her back because I wasn't sure how to play the ground at that point. I was like, fucking hell.
Right at that time.
I thought, what's she doing?
Now, you see, other people are dentists and accountants. I turn virgins into duct taping lesbian bangers. Very good. You're going to have to tell us all the different patterns you used on her, okay? Not now, but would you like to hear his story and so have him tell you word for word how he pulled this lesbian in the bar? Who doesn't want to hear that? Say again, when you pulled the virgin, it was what?
When I pulled a virgin, that was really quite funny actually, because I was online and she'd had a boyfriend who was 6 months and he was pestering her for, come on, let's sleep together, and she wouldn't do it. But with one of the patterns that I developed called the naughty girl versus the good girl, where, you know, they get to, do you know that line? So there's like that little line in between, do you know, the good girl and the naughty girl, and that's the line of temptation. And so you never think of, you know, you're a good girl. And she goes, oh yeah, I know. I said, but you never think about doing the naughty stuff. You know, your mother would never, the stuff your mother would never approve of. The things your mum and dad will never find out about. I know that isn't running through your mind. I know that isn't, I know you're not even feeling how good it'd be. I know.
He's using negation. He's saying, I know that's not the case. I know you're not feeling that. I know you don't think about those naughty thoughts that mom and dad, you never want them to know about. You're
Yeah, and I know you're a fucking liar as well. Yeah,
said
and she was like, and
you said you're a fucking liar.
I said to her she was a fucking, and I said you're a friggin' liar, aren't you? And she was like, well, but that led into phone sex sort of thing. But when I met up with her, within an hour, we were in a hotel room, and we ended up doing it, and I popped the cherry in an hour, and some guy had to spend like 6 months, and I was like, how the fuck? I just sometimes I don't understand why every guy isn't doing
this girl?
She was 19, 20, around about that age. I think she was 20.
And how old are you?
I'm 22.
So you're a youngster too. How much money did you spend on her?
None. I
Who
didn't.
paid for the hotel room? Who paid for the hotel room?
No, I've
Who
run off.
paid for the hotel room?
I was
James?
going to, but I didn't pay for it. I ran off
paid
on the
for it?
hotel.
Who paid for it then?
Well, I didn't pay for it.
So, well, you ran out?
Yes.
Stand up. Stand up.
Do you want to see the text?
Sir, no, congratulations.
Do you want to see the text
Wait,
to the
wait,
guy
wait,
pestering for the
hold
hotel
on.
room?
Sit down, sit down. So he de-virginized the teenager and didn't pay for the room. Let's have a standing ovation. You are my right bastard speed seducer of the year. The nominees for right bastard speed seducer of the year are James and James. Congratulations, James. So they're after you for defrauding an innkeeper then.
What?
You defrauded an innkeeper.
Technically not, because I didn't fill out the form, so legally they won't be able to.
Well, how did they even let you have the room if you didn't fill out the form?
No, they just said I'll fill it in tomorrow.
He wasn't married, basically.
Wow. Wow. I'm so proud of these men.
Do you want to see the text message where he says, please contact for payment for room received last night?
When was this?
Oh,
When did you
okay,
do this?
actually, I'll get-
When did you bang her? When was this?
It was probably about 2-3 months ago.
No, that's okay. I don't need to see the text message. Have you been in touch with her since?
Yeah, the thing is, about an hour afterwards, she said she didn't want a relationship.
Another standing ovation. Come on, everybody. See, now you would help my business tremendously if you would be willing to show your face on camera and give that testimony. Thank fuck it, we just made $1 million. Thank you. We're going to get that separately. Huh?
Do I get a cut?
Yeah, I'll give you a little cut. Right across your face with my straight razor. Motherfucker. So, who here thinks that James did it on his looks? You're all a mean, right bunch of soddy bastards. Who thinks, no, seriously, who thinks they're not good looking enough to do this? Do you really objectively think that James is better looking? Come on. Is he better dressed than you?
Has he got a more sleek, smooth body?
Yeah, he's got that sleek, smooth. I'm kind of getting sleeker myself, aren't I? So you're a good living example. Oh, God, don't show me those hairy arms. I will put up my breakfast and also my dinner from last night and the lining of my stomach. All right, you want me to move on here, but I'm having fun. I will move on. So when you do something like the cube, you want to use it as an opportunity to embed commands and suggestions. I like that. You know, when you think of someone you want to have wild sex with, my face doesn't pop right to mind. However, sometimes women have told me, sometimes things will come up in a way that make them just think things differently, you know. But let me bring up a couple other things off the top. Let me give you something off the top of my head. You guys missed it. Let me give you something off the top of my head. You're asleep. I think you need to eat. So when you do something like the cube, you use it as a vehicle to embed suggestions and embed commands. He had asked what embedded commands were, and I demonstrated. And also in the cube, they say in the desert there's, so in the desert there's a horse, describe the horse. And the horse is actually her ideal lover, right? And you tell her, well, the horse represents your ideal lover. And et cetera, et cetera. And you just anchor it to yourself. One way I do anchoring is if she gives me, like when I do the twin brothers, if she says she likes a great kisser, someone who makes her laugh, and someone who has great hands, I'll say, so, when you're with someone who's a great kisser, someone who has great hands, and someone who makes you laugh, where do you think that could lead? Do you see it? So look, guys, it looks like this. When you're with someone who's a great, and what do? I look at my hands when I do it. Why do I look at my hands when I do it? I'm directing her attention, right? So it goes like this. So when you're with someone who's a great kisser, makes you laugh, and has great hands, where do you think that could lead? I'm taking all the feelings, I'm stacking them on my thumb, then I'm putting my thumb down the center line of my body.
She doesn't pick up on that.
They never get it. Look me in the eyes, they don't get it consciously. Have you used that? Does it work?
100%.
Have you ever been caught?
Never.
Has anyone ever said, what are you doing?
In fact, I've gone one step beyond. I said, and this person's right in front of you.
That's, they don't get it.
They don't get it.
You at home,
They don't get it.
they don't get it. They don't get it. Try to get caught. I want to give you a challenge. Try to get caught. So it goes like this. So when you're with someone, here, do it with me. So when you're with someone who's a great dancer, great kisser, makes you laugh, where do you think that could lead? You're stacking, here's how it works. You're stacking all of those good feelings on your thumb, and then you're putting the thumb down your body, so you're transferring all the feelings. And you can even hang your thumb in your belt like this. And later on during the evening, you say, you know, I'm having a great time. Is this fair?
Yes.
I can't hear you.